Okay, just an update on the corner tank. Went out to Hidden Reef over in Bristol, Pennsylvania just the other day and got carried away a little bit. Interesting enough, there's another fish store, much smaller, on the return trip. It's only a couple miles from the bridge out to Hidden Reef, but about half a mile on the way back there's a small place called the Fish Factory, and it's surprising to see how many times you can find something there of interest. Anyway, out at the Hidden Reef I was looking for some plants, didn't find anything of interest really, but did get some fish that were reasonably priced and looked nice and healthy, and you're looking at some of them here. Specifically, you may notice the swordtails off to the right here. Black wag red swordtails. There's a nice female right in the front here, and so I got 3 of them. The pearl gouramis have been in here a while. You see them off to the right. They continue to do very well, and so I did, as I said in the last video, get 4 more for the boat tank, so they're not in this tank. And there was some nice platies that I picked up. What's really been surprising to this particular tank is, since I took the betta out of there, all of a sudden there's babies every place. I actually saw a black molly baby the other day, which is the first in a long time. But looking closely at the plants down below, you may or may not see some of the yellow dots that are the gold wag platies, and also some red ones, which would be the red swordtails. And haven't had babies in here in a while, and the gold wags you see going by once in a while, they tend to be the ones that have grown up here from babies, and then I went for a long time without any babies. But if you look closely, you'll see those babies coming in and out of the plants, and there's a surprising number of them. The catfish, the peppered catfish, continue to do well, and as I said in the last video, you can tell by the sizes that these are different batches, the largest ones being the adults, of course, that are somehow laying eggs that are surviving and turning into the tiny ones, and then the middle ones being those that have survived beyond the tiny stage. The other thing you'll find in here, just coming into view on the center stage, are some Hawaiian Platyvariatus, and I had a pair in here, and he was a sex fiend is what he was, okay? And so I got 5 more small ones to bring in here to give a relief to the poor female that he chased. And I can't believe how well these fish, especially swordtails and platies, how well they can back up and turn on a dime when they're trying to impress the female and trying to get up close. And so you may see some of that action, but now at least he's spread out. The other thing I got the other day was some half black gold mollies, and so you may see them off up to the right there, and we'll zoom in a little bit, get out of the total picture here, and see what we can do for you. There's that swordtail I was telling you about, and there's one of the females. I got a male and 2 females, trying to give them a chance to have some privacy. But if you get down into the plants and you look real closely, get past that large school of neons, you may see some of the babies coming in out of those plants. The other thing you'll see there are, I forget what they call them. They're really flying foxes, I think was what they call it. But right down there in the front, you see one of them. There's actually 5 of them in there, and they tend to hang out together. And I see one coming off just to the left a little bit and going up the front of the tank. And they've been very active since I put them in there. They were $1.29. I got 5 of them, and they seem to be doing very well. But if you look through those plants down there, you may or may not be able to see some of the tiny, tiny, tiny babies. There's one of those small catfish that's not small anymore. but grown up from the babies that were born here. And plant-wise, that Amazon sword is from before. There's practically nothing left in here except if you come across a little bit, you'll see a bunch plant, and basically that's all of those. I think I bought about 4 of these plants, and I told you I was very disappointed in them. Well, they ended up floating in the top of the bow tank, and so I took them all together, found a metal tab around to put in the base, and put them in here since I gave up trying to keep them planted over in that bow tank. And so they seem to be hanging in there. There you also see a red velvet swordtail female going past. Got a couple of them. And lo and behold, I love another one of my favorites. And I haven't seen them for a while, so it's been a disappointing summer as far as finding them. But the red-tailed shark has always been a favorite of mine. Between the pitch black and the bright red tail, and as they grow up they develop white tips on the 2 side fins and the top fin. And so I bought 3 of them the other day. First time I've seen them for sale in quite a while. And I've tried to make a school of them. That didn't work. They end up, somehow it ends up just being 1 left, no matter how many I put in there. So I gave up on that, and now I've got 1 in each of the 3 tanks. And so I really enjoy watching them. And the one in the office tank right now has recovered the most from the new environment and really looks brilliant. They're fairly small, but if they survive as they usually do when they're alone, we will have some very pretty looking fish over time. Trying to think what else is in here from that last fishing trip. The mollies are ones we've grown up from here. You see right in the center there that black-tailed orange molly. And there was 2 of them in here, and they seem to be doing well. And so I got 3 more. And so you'll see them in and out. But plant-wise, practically nothing left from that $170 mistake I made of ordering them online. Learned the hard way. Here comes a pineapple sword. That's another new acquisition. Love those fish also. Very pretty looking fish. And lo and behold, at that fish factory, that small shop I'm telling you about, there was some nice looking ones, and they tend to have some decent prices too. So I think it was a deal, buy 3 for $7.99, and so you tend to buy 3, and there was 3 there that looked pretty good. And so, along with, as I said, that Platy variatus, which you see swimming by back and forth here, that's orange with the black tuxedo and a bright colored tail. And here comes that pineapple sword right to your right. The neons are all hanging out together there for some reason or other. They form different formations over time. Don't know what drives that. Certainly when you throw food in there, you get a different formation. But right now they just seem to be all hanging out together. Had some problems with the filter on this particular tank, and for some reason or other when I took it apart, I think I broke it, but I couldn't imagine how else you could fix what wasn't really working there. It was like something was stuck in the impeller area. And by the time I got through, I was ready to buy another filter because I think I broke this one. But I didn't, and when I checked the other day, nothing was happening. It was plugged in, but the impeller wasn't going. And when I tried to finally fix it, it started moving. And lo and behold, before I got through, it settled in, didn't make any noise, and was working. So I was very pleasantly surprised to have that success without really realizing what I had done. And so that's the update on the corner tank. The Java fern you see in the back center, that came up from the office tank today, so I freed up some of the space in that tank. It was doing well there. Java fern is the one plant you can really count on. You have to work hard to kill that plant. And the only problem I have with it is the algae that grows on it sometimes. But you can chop off leaves and get rid of that algae by staying on top of it, which I've done. And lo and behold, you see that right there. That came out of the office tank, which was very crowded with some plants. And now it's going to do well here, he said optimistically. And here we're back to the bow tank. This is the 46 gallon, I think. The corner tank is a 60-gallon tank. And you see going across the center there some of the very young pearl gouramis that are doing so well. There's 4 of them in there altogether. You saw 3 just go by. And for whatever reason, recently it's been hard to find angelfish. The hidden reef has often been a large collection of angelfish, like 6 or 7 different tanks of them. And the smaller ones tend to be a very reasonable price, usually $3.99 or $4.99. But recently, every time I've gone there, all they have is some rare forms, wild caught, etc., some variations that are not easy to find, which are very expensive. They tend to be in the $20 to $25 range. And I'm not into that kind of fish. I've made that mistake a couple of times. And so lo and behold, they had nothing I could buy. But coming back through that fish factory place, turns out he had some for $4.99. So you see up in the upper left-hand corner here, one of 3 that I bought for, I think, $7.99. And they certainly are. There's one a little to the right, toward the top, coming across. There he is. So there's 3 of them. They look very similar, and much smaller, of course, than the big ones that have always been here. But we now are back up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 angels. It's been as many as 10 over time, but that was some time ago. And so they seem to be doing well so far, just a couple of days in here. Then I decided I need some color in this tank, and so I ended up getting some of those orange mollies. They look very bright orange. And also there's a trio of velvet swords that I put into here. And also lost a couple of the serpae. And I'm not sure if there isn't another fish which they give a different name to that looks like a serpae to me. And so you go through these stores and you see the prices on all the different tanks, and sure enough I always find one that doesn't have a price on it, and that's the one I want to know about. And so sure enough the serpae looked very good, and if it was the right price I was going to buy some. Of course they had to go way in the back room or something to find the price. They came back and it was I think $2.99 or $2.49, and that was a buy price for me. So I got 3 to replace a couple that I'd lost in recent months. And so there's a school of about 15 of serpae in there. And you can see how well those pearl gouramis are doing just a little bit to the left. Huh? Very pretty fish, and like I said, I've had good luck with them in the other tanks, so I added a school over in this tank, and see, my water must be right. Plant-wise, again, what I bought hasn't thrived in here at all. I don't have a CO2 infuser. Been tempted to do that, but after watching a lot of YouTube videos, pro and con, it's more work than it's worth as far as I'm concerned. And so I moved some plants from the office tank, which seems to grow plants better. And lo and behold, that Amazon sword to the left, the bright green to the bottom on the right, is doing really well. I actually had bought some fertilizer tabs for the plants and didn't bother using them all, and just recently put one at the roots of that, and it seems to be producing a lot more leaves, as you see. And same thing with some of the other areas. The bunch plants right in the front left. There's that red-tailed shark going up and down against the tall structure. And so you see him right. Let's see if I can capture him. I'm using a different camera and it's very sensitive. And so you see him down in here. He disappeared in the leaves there. But anyway, he's the one in there. And you see some of those serpae coming across. And as I said, there's that Amazon that's doing very well on its own. And I did realize I had some fertilizer liquid that I said, what the heck am I storing it here for if I'm not going to use it? And I got intrigued with watching some videos about plants, and one of the things you could do is fertilize them. So I fertilized that 1 week, haven't last week, need to do it again. And the Java fern is the most successful of plants in here. There's all sorts of different plants, most of them just leftovers from whatever I've tried. But I am pleased with the colors that I now have in here. As you can see, some of those orange mollies to the left. We have a couple of platies, some sunset platies up toward the center there. And of course the angelfish seem to be doing much better now. Remember, they were hiding behind the heater for some time, and some people gave me some wisdom, said it looked like the serpae may be nipping at them. Well, I haven't changed anything in the serpae side of things, and now they seem to be holding their own out here. So hopefully they're going to continue to do well. But that Java fern you're looking at right dead center, that came out of the little office tank, is doing very well back there, but again overgrowing that tank. And so I said, let's move it out here. And what you see in the front center, that purple sprig plant, there's not much left of that, but it's awful colorful, so I'm keeping it there. And we still have a bunch of plants up in the upper right hand corner that are just floaters. There's no structure to them, so the veta that I have in this tank is up in there, makes that its home, and seems to be doing well. So it's showing plants. It's interesting to go back over the years and look at videos of these tanks at different stages, and sometimes they look very sparse, other times they look very overgrown, which I like. And so it's also interesting to see that some of the plants will thrive at a time that'll drive the other plants into almost hibernation. So for example, if I get duckweed growing in a tank, that's a sign of something, and I don't know what, but the net result is the other plants start to fade away. And it's not just the light getting through, because the office tank can get totally covered over. And I've moved some duckwood out to these tanks, and it's thrived so much that it's cutting back the light. And I finally said, oh, the heck with this, scooped it all out and threw it away. And so I'm at a duckweed-free environment right now, and that's getting me more light in here. And fish seem to be enjoying that. And you can see the orange in those mollies. Aren't they beautiful? Got a very pretty yellowish orange. And there's those two of the three new angelfish right there on the left. And with a little bit of luck, they'll grow up to be as big as the others, as you can see off here to the right. And so there, they finally turn sideways so you can get a nice shot of them. They always tend to look face on when you're trying to take a picture of them. Isn't that something? Anyway, so things are doing well in these tanks right this minute, and I'm doing much better off with my own plantings from the other tank than I am with what I'm finding in the stores. Although I'm tempted to try something, and I've shied away from it so far, so I haven't bought any. But in the PetSmart locally, or yeah, PetSmart, yeah, as opposed to Pet Plus, PetSmart, they have these plastic containers with a plant out of water, and they tend to be kind of expensive, like $7.99. But looking at what they've done a couple of times when they've taken those plants and put them in their own fish tanks there, they do rather well. But damn it, they won't sell those plants when they're doing so well in the tank, much to my frustration. And believe me, I've tried to buy them. Even got management involved, and they said, no, we can't sell those. You buy the tube over here. Well, with what I've gone through in some of the plants, you know, I think maybe I'm going to try one or two of them at that price and see how they make out. So we'll have that as a future update. Meanwhile, like I said, the swordtails, the angelfish seem to be doing well here, and the pearl gouramis, all four of them doing very well. Very pleased with that. We've got a nice school of tetras and some zebras. There was 6 zebras in there. I only see one running around right now. And is it possible that fish shrink in size for some reason or other? Sometimes they don't thrive, and they tend to shrink in size. Now I see that red-tailed shark right in the center. Let me see if I can zoom in with this camera and get a picture of him for you. There he is. Whoops. Where'd he go? He disappeared on me. Sometimes trying to monitor this in the little window of the camera, I'm actually catching him and don't realize it. And so in this particular case, I'm trying to figure out where I'm focused and where he is. He's right dead center someplace. I just saw him disappear into that Java fern in the center. Anyway, well, take my word for it. There's one in each tank, and right now the one in the office tank seems to be doing the best of all. His fins have really turned out very nice. And that red-tailed shark is over here now in that plant just to the right. And he's back. I love the way they go up and down the leaves of the plants. I assume they're taking care of the algae there. They tend to be vegetarians. And so anything you can do to keep the algae down in my tanks, I'm pleased with. All right. Let's move into the office tank and just capture that one briefly. Here come the serpae across the center. Like I say, overall there's about a dozen of them in there someplace. And now we're into the office tank, and what you see here is a very healthy pair of black tuxedo swordtails. And of course, as soon as I said that, they went out of camera range. Here comes the male to the left, and here comes the female. I'm sorry, the male from the right and the female to the left, and there they pass. So you get a good shot of them. And what we have in here is the leftovers of the black mollies, which are no longer breeding true. A lot of gray ones in here now. But remember that great big plant I got in that one shipment I said I was so pleased with? Well, what you're seeing here in the center is what's left of that plant. Remember, I had some troubles in terms of fish eating the leaves of it. And so right now, I've got what looks like some new leaves coming out. And I'm hoping that that plant will recover then and regrow its big leaves. So it had like 6 or 8 nice big leaves. Now it's got just 4 fairly new leaves. And then to the left there's one other bulb type plant that came in that shipment, and that's all that's left of that. And the rest of this used to be very heavily populated with Java fern. There's the red betta. Let's see if he'll come back into the frame for us. But anyway, then down here we have 4 neons that have been in this tank forever. And of course, as soon as I did that, they swam off to the right. So here they come. So there's 4 neons that I should put out with the other school, but you know what? They look so pretty in here, and this needs some color, so I left me here. And the red-tailed shark is off out of camera range here, down to the right, and hopefully he's coming across. Here he comes. Let's see if I can get in on him for you. No, he went to the back. Anyway, he's the best looking one of them, and if he comes out while we're talking, you'll get a chance to see him. So we have the red betta, the neons, the swordtails, and I got just one pair of swordtails here. There's that red betta. It looks very nice in the light that I've been able to offer this. And like I said, the Hidden Reef always has a beautiful selection of bettas. My only problem there is I only have the 3 tanks, and right now I'm not putting a betta in that corner tank to see if those babies can grow up to the point where they can thrive. But this is a brilliant red one, so I'm very pleased with him. And the rest of it is just some type of Christmas fern type stuff, which the babies can certainly hide in if somebody wants to have some babies. And lo and behold, that's what we have in this tank. And I'm sorry that that red-tailed shark didn't stay out so you could see what I was talking about. There comes one of the catfish. This tank only has 1 or 2 catfish in it, the bronze type catfish. Maybe I should take some of the peppered catfish and bring them back here and see how they do from that corner tank. So anyway, that's an update around the fish room, as it were. 2 rooms, the living room and here in the office tank that I enjoy so much as I'm working on things. And always try and keep a pair of swordtails or some other type of live bearing fish back here and see if they develop, but have babies. So far this couple is not. Don't know what that's about. And I'm not really trying to breed them as much as just give them an environment if they want to breed, give their young a chance. So they do chase each other around, as you can see once in a while here, but beyond that, no such luck recently. Of course, with the betta in here, they're not going to have much of a chance. The bettas are a hunter. They will look for food, and they'll chase the young fish down. And so even if they had young ones in here, it probably would end up being food for the betta. I've tried to use a fish trap and fish babies into it, but they don't thrive in that. And so I wasn't doing them any favors and losing what I put in there, so I finally said, oh, the heck with it, just let nature take its way here. And so hopefully those 2 very pretty red tuxedo swords will do their thing. Meanwhile, they do provide some color and some interest, and that's all I'm looking for here. So that's the update for early October. Hope that your fish are doing as well as mine. Until next time, this is Jim the Heart Guy saying good fishing.